$3.99 to $4.20. There's only a little bit of wear on this item. It's a great portrait. Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and Happy New Year. I'm super excited to celebrate and also see you all at my Whatnot auction on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time the 2nd. And today we're going to be showing off about 20 selections and explaining a bunch of historical context, whether that's a sort of Renaissance French king or some ancient Egyptian or Alexandrian or Roman items. There's also some Chinese coins, some Asian and Indian items. It's a really wide mix in addition to that core strength of US. So the way this video will work is we'll have about 20 highlights in the next portion. We'll then show a bunch of the items being auctioned in a rapid format, and as a reminder, probably 80% of the lots have already been uploaded on the Whatnot link below. You can navigate to the auction tab to see a list of everything there, submit some pre-bids, and get ready to rumble Tuesday the 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern. This incredible piece of knife money was produced by the Yan Dynasty in Warring States period China. This is before the Qin conquered a bunch of the different states that were fighting against each other at the time to make their own dynasty in about 221 BC. Of course, about 15 years later, the Han Dynasty took over, but these were the Yan. Again, there were a lot of different tribes that were constantly fighting each other, and a lot of them produced these knife-shaped pieces of currency, though it's pretty unclear as to the specific nominal value, as well as the way that these occurred. There were also concurrently spade coins in China, but this is, again, sort of ancient Chinese money from anywhere from around 1000 BC to 222 BC, though it was likely more towards 222 than 1000. So anyways, this one looks like it has 3 characters on there. I'm not sure exactly what they mean, and would be a great idea for further research. This is a Ptolemaic Greek tetradrachm of Ptolemy Physcon, Ptolemy VIII, and would have been great silver item featuring an eagle grasping a thunderbolt. But as a reminder, so the Ptolemaic Greek kingdom forms out of Ptolemy Soter, who was one of Alexander the Great's emperors. But in this time period, there was a ton of internal strife. A lot of different people were trying to claim authority to the throne. There was even during Ptolemy VIII's rule, the Alexandrian War. But one of the big things that happened was they needed increasing support from the Roman Republic, and the downfall and annexation into the Roman Republic occurs, or at that time, not the Roman Republic, when Julius Caesar and Mark Antony are involved with Cleopatra, and then Augustus defeats her and Mark Antony to annex in 31 BC. Rewinding a bit to Alexander the Great's rule, this coin is a Lycaonia Laranda obol. Lycaonia was a region in central Turkey. Anatolia was the term back then, and would have been striking coins out of Laranda, a well-known ancient city on the Lycus River. On the front here, we have a portrait of Hercules, the son of Zeus, and just an important Greek mythological figure. But then when we rewind to the back here, we can see there's the head and the body of a leaping wolf that would have been viewed as tough, ferocious, and wild. But again, a reminder that the Roman Empire, we think of Rome as being in Italy, but sort of the Turkish, where Turkey is today, was a key part when we think back. So this coin, an obol, would have been silver, 1/6 of a dram, probably ranges $20 to $25 or more. This is a dram of Vima Takto, which would have reigned from about 55 to 105 AD in the Kushan Empire. He was also known as Soter Magus, the Great Savior, but he would have promoted Buddhism in the empire. As a reminder, the Indo-Scythians had made a lot of incursions into India from Central Asia, and then the Kujula Kadphizes sort of took it upon himself to rejuvenate the empire, centralize the power among the Yuezhi tribes, and so he was the ruler after Kujula. There were a lot of mixing of the Persian, Indian, and Greek cultures, and just a really interesting time period in that sort of Indian peninsula history. This coin is probably worth a floor of $15 to $20. Here's a very affordable piece of history. This is a Wu Zu coin. This would have been around 100 or so BC with the characters, I think it's like 5 Zu, a bronze item, but part of the Han Dynasty, which was established by Liu Bang after the collapse of the Qin dynasty or Qin dynasty, when Emperor Gaozu centralized the authority from a lot of those feudal lords that would have been producing the knife money. Confucianism was the state philosophy. Emperor Wu, who this coin would have been struck under most likely, had the civil service examination where people were tested on their Confucianism as opposed to aristocratic power for government positions, and also introduced the mandate of heaven, saying that it was sort of the divine rule of the emperor. So interesting time period, cheap piece of history, probably won't sell for more than $15 or so. Here we have a French jeton of 1659, which is a very significant time in French history. On this side of the item, we see a lion with a fasces, which we then would see on the Mercury dime. But as a reminder, King Louis XIV was known as the Sun King. The Nil Nisi Concilio, or Concilium, is basically in Latin saying nothing without consultation, so focusing on being, thought out and following processes. But King Louis XIV would have married Maria Theresa of Spain in this year. That was a big solidification of peace between those two nations, and during his rule, he would have revoked the Edict of Nantes to prosecute Protestants, transformed the Palace of Versailles, and then also been associated with absolute monarchy, famously quoted as saying, "L'État, c'est moi," the state, it's me. So super, super interesting accounting token from that time frame. $30 and up is likely the price here. Fascinating story on this Byzantine phallus from about 575 AD. We see Justin II and Sophia. Now, Justin II suffered from bouts of insanity and probably at this point had abdicated the throne in favor of Tiberius Constantine. But the big controversy was that Sophia prosecuted the Monophysite Christians who believed that Christ was purely divine, as opposed to the Chalcedonian position that there was Christ as human as well as divine. On the coin, we see M for 40 phallus or 40 nummus or 1 phallus. XI is the 11th regnal year, that's what anno means, and Kis stands for the Kizikis mint. I would imagine that this coin would go in the range of $15 to $20. This coin is a low percentage silver Billion tetradrachm from 66 or 67 AD, struck for Nero on this side with a portrait of Tiberius in his death, who would have reigned from 14 to 37 AD. Nero was a very unpopular ruler starting in 54 and presiding over the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD, where people thought he might have even burned Rome to make way for his architectural projects. He blamed it on the Christians and persecuted them quite actively, and had eventually very strained relations with the Senate, who, turned against him and caused him to commit suicide in 68 AD. As for Alexandria, which is where this coin was minted, that they saw a lot of tensions with the Jewish and non-Jewish populations during the time. Of course, the first Jewish-Roman war started in 66 AD and culminated by 70 AD. Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and eventually Vespasian all fought over the throne in his death, so a very significant ruler and a pretty chunky coin. I'd be surprised if this went for less than 50. Here we have a coin from 320 or 321 AD, Constantine the Great, a beautiful portrait of his with the Va XX, blessings for 20 years on the reverse of it, minted in Aquileia, which is part of northeastern Italy, but a very lustrous coin. Constantine the Great was known for his role with Christianity in the Roman Empire in 312 before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, as he consolidated the previous tetrarchy ruling structure. He saw a Chi-Rho, or a Christian symbol, and then defeated Maxentius, the other claimant to the throne. He had the end of the persecution of Christians with the Edict of Milan in 313, built a new capital called Constantinople at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, which is Istanbul today, and had the Council of Nicaea emerge along with introducing the gold solidus denomination. So a very well-known emperor and a beautiful coin of his. This one should start in the 25 to 30 range. Here we have a barbarous imitation of a Constantine the Great phallus, where we see a inscribing Vot PR type on the reverse and a barbaric ruler or portrait of Constantine on the front. You can tell the alphabet is Not something that these barbaric tribes even know how to inscribe, so they just make it in the style of what they were seeing out of the Roman mint. And some of these different tribes that were constantly warring with him and would eventually weaken the Roman Empire over the next 100 years include the Alemanni in Germany and Switzerland, the Franks, which were in sort of France and Belgium, Netherlands area on the Rhine, the Visigoths and Ostrogoths, which Constantine defeated in 324, the Visigoths, the Saxons from Denmark and Germany, and the Vandals towards the east of Germany on the Danube River. This coin is probably worth $10 to $15, even though it's 1,700 years old. This 2 wen cash coin under Emperor Lizong was struck during 1241 to 1252 AD in the Southern Song Dynasty. The Song Dynasty saw the Jin Dynasty make some big incursions on the Northern Song Dynasty, sort of in that 12th, 13th century region, before Kublai Khan ended up defeating the dynasty a few years later. But they did see some major innovations in printing technology during their rule, and the first printed book, the Diamond Sutra, was dated back to that period as well. So it's a uniface coin, meaning there's nothing struck on the other side, but it's nice to have it preserved in as nice condition as it is today. This silver denarius is a coin of Hadrian, but it was struck at a non-Rome mint, likely in the eastern part of his empire, which at this point had really expanded. The denarius was the base unit of money, and he was viewed as one of the 5 good emperors, ascended after Trajan adopted him on his deathbed around 117, and would have reigned until 138 when he appointed Antoninus Pius, his son. But he was actually known for fortifying and even drawing back a bit in Mesopotamia, Iraq region, the existing Roman Empire, which had really expanded in the years before he took the throne. He was a big fan of the arts and philosophy and Greek culture, and so he studied that quite a bit during his rule. He was born in Spain, so totally different part of the empire, and he was known for traveling across it quite a bit. And I would be surprised if this coin sold for less than $40. Just a really nice piece. Here is a beautiful silver jeton from 1750 struck under King Louis XV. Here we have the Latin portrait Ludovicus XV Rex King Christianus, but his reign actually started when he was 5 years old, which is pretty interesting. After the War of Austrian Succession was when this coin was struck, when they fought Austria and Great Britain. Louis XV was known for seeking a balance within Europe in terms of the power, but he also would have lost after the 7 Years' War Canada to the British, and these jetons were generally made for ceremonial purposes. Here, if we, take a look, it says IX Vini or Viri, and a bunch of other Latin texts that I'm not super familiar with, but a beautiful galley and ship here. This one's probably going to be worth $60 or more in this condition. Here we have a fascinating Indian rupee from 1890. We have a portrait of a face in a sun, as well as a bunch of text on the other side. This one is graded by NGC as uncirculated details with a schroff marked edge, would have had some sort of a test mark applied to the edge. But the big thing here is that the British East India Company and the Crown would have had a pretty challenging relationship as they tried to exploit the Indian people. They would have struck this coin, however, posthumously in the name of Shah Alam II, who was the 15th Mughal emperor, as the Mughal Empire was significantly weakening to the Maratha dynasty, as well as the British influence in the region. Shah Alam II would have been imprisoned multiple times, and really, there's not a good ending for him or the Mughal Empire, but this would have been struck in his name, and during that time, 1 rupee would have been pegged to the pound at a rate that made it equal to 1 shilling and 4 pence, even though it looks much thicker than a British shilling. Here we have a Yazdegerd I, who was the 5th Sasanian king, ruling from 399 to 420. There's only a little bit of wear on this item. It's a great portrait. On the reverse, we see a Zoroastrian fire altar with the 2 different attendants, as well as the crown bust of him on the front of the item. There was a lot of tension in the Sasanian Empire at this point between the Zoroastrians, the Christians, and the Manichaeans. He would have fought a lot against the Roman Emperor Theodosius II before they signed the Eternal Peace, which was a treaty that would last with peace for 30 years. During his reign, a lot of the issues stemmed from how costly having that large of a military was. His son Bahram V secured the throne after his death, which may have been an assassination, but we don't fully know. This coin is probably worth somewhere in the range of more than $80, and especially in the NGC holder, nice to have that authentication and a good-looking coin. This Antoninianus was struck between 244 and 249 AD. She would have been the wife, Ottilia Severa, of Philip the Arab, who reigned after Gordian III was killed, and he would have been killed in Mesopotamia. She's viewed as potentially the first Christian sort of wife and empress, as the persecution of Christians did stop during her reign, really her husband's reign, though Trajan Decius would re-up that in a significant way upon his death, after he died in battle near Verona. She would have also held their son Decius as he was killed, so a very sad time for her. The double denarius, or Antoninianus, would have been introduced by Gordian III in 238, which would have been supposed to be 2 times a denarius, but the underlying silver value was much smaller, and a period of rampant inflation over the decades would ensue. This coin is probably worth over $100, but it's a bit unclear. Really nice item. And our last coin here is a denarius of Septimius Severus, beautiful choice XF coin, likely worth over $100. He reigned from 193 to 211 AD and was presiding over a time where there was the year of 5 emperors occurring after Commodus's death. Pertinax seized power to start. And after the assassination of Commodus, he was killed by the Praetorian Guard, at which point Didius Julianus came into power, as well as Pescennius Niger, and he had actually appointed Claudius Albinus a governor, or Caesar, the under Augustus, which he would have claimed, but eventually had to kill both Claudius Albinus as well as Mesopotamian and Parthian vassals to consolidate power. He married Julia Domna and presided over the Roman Empire for about 18 years. A lot of strife and fighting, but a super interesting coin. Now, one thing that had been requested, and I hadn't done in a long time, was to try to show some of the other items being auctioned, and I want to do this super fast, but oops, and I've got them the wrong way. We're going to start with a bunch of the graded coins so that you can get a sense, but again, there's a list of everything that is in the auction already uploaded very clearly to see in the auction tab of what we're selling. So most of the PCGS graded coins are actually not super high-end. There's some better stuff, a Sakani tribe half denarius. We've got some more Antoniniani, the Antioch Mint, Trajan Decius, the Persecutor. There are a few, most of these have some damage on the graded Morgan silver dollar. We have 2 straight graded ones, but I had not been doing this in a long time. Super interesting Fair 2 item, and then a few Franklin proof halves and a Mexican silver coin. Had not been doing this sort of style, and I'll try to go through super fast here and just show off the range. So everything from Macedonian items to Roman Imperial, sort of later Phallus coins, Roman Provincial, I saw one, a lot of the Constantinian items. There's a Licinius, sort of Tetrarchic. There's a nice 90 BC in tough shape. Calpurnius Piso Fruci, there's a Valerius Gratus, some Byzantine selections, so family of Augustus, really a wide range. Anastasius Decorus. That's not even, kind of the better group of ancients, but that was what I wanted to put together. Alexander the Great, a very nice looking dram there. A Lycaonia, Laranda, there's some debased Indo-Scythian drams. More provincial items, some Trachy, some Kushon coins of different emperors. Elemaeus, 2 different types as well, another Kushon. Trichalcan coin, Elagabalus, some Greek. I'm seeing up ahead, it looks like there's also some Parthian selections. So we're really trying to get better, and I think we'll often buy these really large groups of coins, so we can't always have, when we buy a bunch that aren't like super high quality, it takes a long time to rotate out of them. Here's a bunch of Antoniani. There's a Numidian coin, which is slightly better. A very nice Siglos, Roman Republic. Some beautiful denarii, another Arab Byzantine, Claudius Gothicus, Pergamum, Seleucid, that's Parthian right there. More Seleucid, Nabatean, Greek, and there's some Parthian drams. Let me get the last of these items here. Oops. This is actually the last of 1/2 of the ancient coins. But actually, maybe after I do the last of this half, then we'll move on to some of the world selections, because there's some pretty cool stuff. But, nice Pruta coins, Seleucid stuff, Eridos, Domna. We have the Sassanid dram section with different mints represented. Claudius Gothicus, nice Antoniani. We have a nice range of Japanese items. There's also a lot of British stuff that has not been uploaded to this sale yet. But again, a mix of Russian, there's Tang, some bean money, some different Japanese bar money of different time periods. Let's see what other selections we've got. I'm just going to do a few. This isn't showing everything, but we have Cambodia, British Indian, India, Moroccan, Kataban, some Russian stuff, Guernsey, Mexican. There's definitely just a ton of different items, and I'm always pumped to offer them. Württemberg, Italian states, Sicilia, French, U.S., Philippines. So there's a bunch, and then we'll lastly show just some of the U.S., and there's some non-U.S. in here. But, we got a lot of peace dollars, a lot of Morgan silver dollars, some, U.S. type, which we've definitely been improving, some nice Civil War tokens. We have some Mexican pesos. I know there's some decent errors actually in this auction as well. So let me just grab this last handful and see what we've got. More pesos, a bunch of U.S. type. So it really is a wide range. All those Walking Liberty $half are going to be given away during the sale. It's definitely something you want to show up to. Some varieties. See a Flying Eagle cent in there. And we will conclude. I guess I'll just show some of the errors. I didn't show much of the Islamic coins. 3-cent nickel. But yeah, British is going to be the big theme that gets added late to the sale. Along with, this is not, more of this will not be added. But here, oh yeah, lots more interesting ancient items. And some Hungarian. So, that's it. I'll see you at 6 p.m. We've got a bunch of sales in January, which will be fun, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to head on over to treasuretown.com and sign up for our email list to stay up to date on everything that's happening, whether it's auction updates, exciting new inventory drops, coin collecting news, or general informational resources. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on another one.